Our special segment this evening, December 7th, 1941, the day the Japanese struck Pearl Harbor and brought the United States into World War II. Today there was a memorial service aboard the shrine at Pearl Harbor, and some American planes flew overhead in missing man formation to honor those who died. It's been 40 years since that attack, and there are memories still fresh in the United States and in Japan. Here's our Tokyo correspondent, Jim Upshaw.
It's been 40 years, but the images still have a terrible power. And no one who survived the attack on Pearl Harbor can forget that Sunday morning when much of the United States Pacific Fleet was wrecked and 2,300 Americans were killed. Far away in Tokyo, 66-year-old Sadao Yamamoto has his own memories.
I entered the Naval Academy in 1935. Japan was expanding her power then, and the military was taking leadership. I wanted to do something for my country. I was 19 years old.
Yamamoto trained hard and became a naval aviator. Japan was at war with China, trying to grab that country's natural resources. The war machine needed oil, but the Allies halted oil shipments, and the U.S. ordered Japan to pull its troops out of China and oil-rich Southeast Asia. So Japan's desperate military leaders decided to strike at the muscle of the U.S. threat, the Pacific Fleet based at Pearl Harbor. Yamamoto had nothing against Americans, but he was now a warrior. So when the attack force under Admiral Nagumo headed toward Hawaii, bearing the rising sun flag adapted from an old samurai symbol, Yamamoto was aboard a carrier.
I had no fear. I was not scared. I trained hard for that mission. I thought it very honorable.
Other planes took off first, and this is where other memories enter, those of Conrad Fries, who was maintaining aircraft at the Kaneohe Naval Field when some of the Japanese planes attacked.
It was Zeros who obviously were sent to strafe our flying boats, so we couldn't take off and go out and find Nagumo's fleet. And they were pretty good at it, too. They wiped us out.
When Yamamoto arrived, his targets, the big battleships Tennessee and West Virginia, were hidden by smoke from the first explosions. On his third pass, Yamamoto dropped a 1,700-pound bomb. He never learned whether it hit the mark, but many bombs did. And all around Conrad Fries, men were dying.
19, counting one civilian. 7 of them out of my squadron. Then we had about 75 people wounded. Some quite severely, of course.
I had only in mind to attack the ships. We were flying 10,000 feet high, so we could hardly watch men on the base.
Now, Fries recalls his bitterness toward the Japanese after Pearl Harbor.
I don't like to use the word hate. After detesting them for a lot of years, I started traveling to Tokyo and to Japan about 20 years ago. And when I got acquainted with those people, I found out they're pretty nice people.
Surely no one 40 years ago today foresaw what would happen, that a defeated Japan would recover and challenge the United States again, this time on the battlefield of trade, and that the U.S., worried about new enemies, would try to push Japan to rebuild its military strength.
We would go to great lengths to remain friends and make sure that a mistake like the war in the Pacific is never again repeated.
This is another age.
Another age. Yet Pearl Harbor is vivid in the memories of a former U.S. Navy aviation mechanics mate, third class, and an old warrior 4,000 miles away in modern Japan. Jim Upshaw, NBC News, Tokyo.